Hi, this is Allison Gilbert.
And I'm Megan Kingsbury.
And this is Capital News Update for March 12th, 2005.
On tonight's show, we'll sit down with the governor,
celebrate 30 years of Andy Paul,
and find out the top 10 ways to have fun at Saturday's activities.
Earlier today, Capital News Update correspondent Carrie Gilbert sat down with the 56th Youth Governor, Colin Clark, to discuss his reactions to his win, his plans as governor, including region realignment and executive reform, and his future political aspirations.
This is Carrie Gilbert for Capital News Update, and I'm here talking to newly elected Youth Governor Colin Clark. Governor Clark, last night when your name was announced, the ballroom erupted in applause. What were your feelings?
I was ecstatic. I mean, this is something I've been building up to for a very long time, and I couldn't have been happier. And to have one of my good friends and last year's Governor Dustin Herr kind of hand down the powers, that was even better. It was incredible.
What were your first hours as governor like?
Actually, to my relief, my first few hours were very relaxing. It was getting my staff rounded up and kind of setting up for today.
What is the most important issue for you this weekend?
This weekend, I really want to just focus on pulling our program closer together. And as I said yesterday, you know, you do hear that a lot, but that's one of my main goals. And I want everybody that has something to say to not be afraid to say it.
Yesterday in the speeches, Kenneth Baker spoke a lot about executive reform. Do you feel that that's an issue as well?
Yeah, that is an issue, and I've talked to Ken, and you know, that's something that I wanna keep up with. Hopefully, we'll be meeting throughout the course of the weekend, and myself and the Lieutenant Governor Kiff will be discussing that amongst ourselves and with the board of directors. And you know, I as a member of the board of directors for the next year will you know, make that part of my responsibility to try and implement some of those changes.
Thank you, Carrie, and good luck to Governor Clark during the rest of the weekend.
Out of a numerous number of bills, Governor Colin Clark chose one he felt strongly about to sign first. The bill he signed first has related it to the No Child Left Behind law implemented by the Bush administration. This bill states that while special education students are required to take the standardized tests, their scores will not be counted in the measurement of the progress and success of schools. Even before this weekend sessions, Governor Clark put a lot of time and effort into reading all the bills given to him.
I actually read all the bills before I got to Springfield. That was something that was very important to me, to just become familiar with everything. It probably took me the better part of 4 days, more or less nonstop. When I get home from school, I'd start reading bills. And, you know, I just kind of thought about what bills stuck out in my mind. And, you know, this was one of them in particular because this is very important, and it pertains to, you know, education, which is a big part of who we are right now as students.
Certain parts of this bill inspired Governor Clark to sign it first.
Well, I'm just going to echo what I said before. It's a very you know, prevalent issue in society today, education reform, and especially with the No Child Left Behind Act. It has a lot of criticisms, and this is really a step in the right direction for it. It can have some positive aspects to it, and you know, this is only changing it for the better.
No Child Left Behind and education reform in general are very important issues to our governor. So he was proud and confident to sign this particular bill, number 1. The bill group from Bradley Bourbonnais High School is just as excited to learn of the success of their bill.
Oh, I was pretty excited. I got the message while House was in session, so I was trying to get hold of my bill members, but it didn't really work, so I had to keep it to myself for a little while.
While this bill was successful, its creation was a bit difficult. They had trouble deciding about what to write about. They came across many ideas before finally choosing education reform. However, ultimately, they found an issue they were passionate about.
We chose to write this bill because the No Child Left Behind Act really needs a push in the right direction. It is illogical to think that special education students can pass a college entrance exam, let alone other standardized testing. And so I also tutor special education students, and so it was really important to me to get this passed and to unload the stress that is on administration, teachers, and students' shoulders for this.
Well, thank you. Congratulations to Emily, Akash, Nicole, and Chance for the success of having your bill signed first. That is an accomplishment to be proud of.
At the 56th Annual Youth and Government Session, legislators have proposed many fascinating bills, ranging from the usual bills addressing hot-button issues such as abortion and gun control, to bills that address helmet safety. Some of the more interesting bills come from the delegation from Stagg High School, the largest delegation here with 99 students. The recent gubernatorial recall in the state of California has inspired delegates from Network Stagg to introduce a bill that would instate route to allow a recall for the governor of Illinois.
Well, basically what we're trying to accomplish with the prostitution bill is to take a negative in society and turn it around into a positive by taking the money made and funding public education and STD research.
The delegates felt that their bill would provide needed accountability in the state government, something that is greatly needed today. Another bill group also wants to bring about reform, but not to politics. Motivated by the suspected mistreatment of dogs in puppy mills, this group has proposed a bill that would dismantle all puppy mills in the state of Illinois.
It's important because it will make everyone's puppies healthier, and everyone will have healthier and happier dogs, and less dogs will be abused and neglected.
These lawmakers firmly believe that their proposals will be a force of good in the state of Illinois. On a different note, a third Stagg bill group introduced a measure to legalize prostitution, which has shocked many members of the legislature. Although some have stated that the bill may be unnecessary, the sponsors stoutly defend it.
We just want to make sure that the governor, if he's doing a bad job, the people of the state can vote him out of office, and it's just common sense that if someone's doing a bad job, then they'll be voted out of office.
The delegates feel that with the necessary precautions, they can make prostitution legal. Although they have an unusual solution to solve the problem of prostitution, they still feel it would work. With 99 members, Stagg has generated bills from the stead to the surprising. And now, for a special report, here are Capitol News Update reporters Tina Parisi and Jacqueline O'Day on some bills that have people asking, what were they thinking?
Some bills come from issues that are controversial topics in the news or issues important to teens.
But some bills lead people to wonder where the idea for the bill came from. Today we investigated the inspiration behind some bills.
I asked Senate sponsor Sarah Hager where the motivation behind the bill concerning registering for a children's license when registering for a marriage license came from.
There wasn't really any motivation other than we wanted to try and get poverty and child abuse to a lower rate in the state of Illinois.
What type of people do you believe will support or be against this bill?
Anybody that would support it would be people who knew of people in this kind of situation who are against child abuse and neglect and poverty. And I don't think anybody should be against it because it's trying to help the children who are in lesser circumstances to overcome these challenges.
What circumstances will be offered for accidental contraception and or pregnancy of a minor?
Anything having to do with minors has nothing to do with our bill, because when you register for a marriage license, you automatically are registered for a children's license so that government can go through and do background checks to make sure that the parents are fit, and if they aren't, they will take actions to help to make these situations better.
Do you believe this is emphasizing that only wealthy people are fit parents?
This isn't emphasizing at all that wealthy people would be fit parents, because if the parents have been seen to be unfit, they can get therapy. Government is going to allow them to get more jobs to be able to support the family, and will help the children.
Another bill that stirred up varying reactions of confusion and disgust was a bill relating to necrophilia.
We had to ask, what were they thinking when they decided on this bill?
Well, we just really want to spice things up with an issue that has never been brought up before.
Currently in Illinois, is there any penalty for people who fornicate the dead?
Currently, but under different laws, they're only a misdemeanor, so they only have to pay a fine.
Is this an increasing problem in Illinois?
We actually don't know this information because we contacted several people in the law enforcement, our police department in Naperville. We contacted Lisa Madigan, and they cannot give us any information on this, on the statistics for this bill.
Should people openly seek help for this problem?
Yes, necrophilia is a personality disorder, so by seeking help, they will suppress their urges to fornicate with a dead person.
The sponsors of a bill supporting the distribution of contraceptives to students 17 and older within high schools discussed the reasoning for their bill.
We just wanted to find a preventative measure against teen pregnancies within the state of Illinois.
In trying to promote safer sex, do you just think you're promoting sex?
Just to reiterate what Andrew was saying, our bill was never trying to promote sex in the first place. We're just trying to find a preventative measure to halt teen pregnancies and to stop the spread of STDs.
Why did you choose age 17 as the minimum age for receiving the condoms?
That's because within the United States, you have to be 17 or older to legally have sex. So it makes no sense to distribute them 17 or younger.
After hearing the story behind some of these surprising bills, it became clear that all the bills are well thought out and researched.
Some were just a little more creative than others.
Colin Clark from Mount Vernon won the Youth in Government election for governor last night, and for the first time since 1997, a delegate from the South was elected governor in a contested election. Yet this was not a story of North versus South. It was one of two candidates who took vastly different paths in their campaigns. The delegates took many factors into consideration when placing their votes. Many delegates feel that Clark won in part because he had no political stance and would take any bill under consideration.
I think it was very honorable of him to tell the people immediately like what he thought and what he would do. But inevitably in politics, I think you're gonna lose votes if you take a certain stance, which I think was really wise politically for Colin Clark not to do. So I think that is probably a big reason why he didn't win the election.
Although Ken Baker lost the election by a large margin, some delegates liked his persistence and strong feelings towards many issues.
I voted for Ken because I like the way he came out strong in his speeches, and I agree with most of his opinions.
However, this seemed to have been one of Baker's major downfalls, because during his speech he named several bills that he would not pass if they came across his desk. Saying this, he offended many large schools and lost their votes. In addition to his assurance that he would consider all bills that came across his desk, Clark impressed many with the way he handled the questions in yesterday's press conference. Although both candidates were qualified for the job, Clark said what the delegates wanted to hear and won their votes.
Although Ken Baker, defeated candidate for governor, did not win the election, he is still determined to pursue his goal of executive reform.
Hello, this is Mary Kathleen Maloney from Capital News Update, and I'm here with Kenny Baker, former governor candidate. Kenny, are you still trying to push the executive reform?
Listen, one of the first things that I said in my remarks to the entire group was that my campaign wasn't just about, who won or who lost. We were talking about an idea. We were talking about a cause. I was running because I want to reform to the executive branch, and I still want to do that. I still want to do exactly what I would have done if I lost, because I think that that's, something that would really help out the program.
Have you spoken to Colin Clark at all about executive reform, and has he offered to help you in any ways?
I've spoken very briefly to Colin about it. We're doing the work on our own to line up the committee chairs to get the support in the legislature. And then at that point, I think we'll start consulting with Colin on what he thinks, because he's been generally receptive to the bill, but the devil is in the details, as you know. So, but we're absolutely open to working with Colin on that.
Despite Baker's devotion to the cause, many delegates don't completely understand his goal for executive reform. In fact, his aggressive political opinions and goals may have led to his loss. Several delegates we spoke to here were turned off by Baker in response to his stances on certain issues.
Hello, this is Mary Kathleen Maloney from Capital News Update, and I'm here with Max from Carl Sandburg, who is on the bill of abortion, which was going to be vetoed by Kenny Baker if elected governor. Max, do you have any comments you'd like to say about your bill?
I'd just like to say that you all heard in the candidate's speech that he said he was going to veto both abortion bills. Ours was the one that had to do with parental guardian consent, and I just thought that the fact that he stated that he would veto the bills, not only our group but the other group, that if he were to have been elected governor, that our bills would have had absolutely no chance of getting passed. So it just puts a damper on our whole situation. So it's like, why even try? And I'd also like to state the fact that he said that he talked to both bill groups about the abortion, and he never once came up to a single member of our group and talked to us about it. So,
thank you very much for your time. This is Mary Kathleen Maloney. Back to you at the studios.
Baker agrees that his vocal opinions may have cost him the election, but still stands by his position.
That's good to hear. Now, do you believe taking a stance on issues, for example, saying you were going to most likely veto two abortion bills, hurt you in the election?
I know for a fact it did, but listen, if I had a choice between, winning the election and, being misleading and answering a question from the press or, simply lying, I mean, the question was, were there any bills that I already disagreed with? And the truth was yes. And I'm not going to mess around it would have been unfair, for example, for the people in those bill groups who have voted for me thinking that, I wasn't opposed to their bill. And then come Saturday, here comes the veto. And then they're sitting there saying, wow, I voted for this guy, and now he's messing with me. And that's not fair to them. They have a right to know where I stand on the issues. And, sometimes politicians don't agree with the electorate, and, the people spoke. And hopefully, I'm hoping that my plans for executive reform won't be affected by what I believe in on certain hot-button issues.
Okay, thank you very much, Kenny, for your time. This is Mary Kathleen Maloney signing off.
Baker plans to use the commitment he showed in his campaign to form a coalition and pass his executive reform plan. And now, an editorial.
Hi, I'm Roni Srinivasan, TV producer for Video Press. Democracy must be learned by each generation. Youth in government is supposed to educate students about government and involve them in politics. But is what occurring here from March 11th to 13th at the Capitol really accurate? Is youth in government really like state government? Former youth governor and current chief of staff for the State Board of Education, Eamon Kelly, believes youth in government is very much like actual state government.
Do you think youth in government is an accurate representation of real state issues?
Yeah, it is. It exposes you to a lot of different people with a lot of different perspectives. It deals with a lot of the same issues we do in government. It shows you that people feel very passionately about some issues, which I think is true. So it's a good representation of what happens in government.
Now, who am I to argue with someone who's been in the program and is now in state government? I mean, Video Press isn't really in the program anyway. I can't possibly say that youth in government isn't accurate now. And frankly, no one involved in this program can. At least no one important or credible.
Lately, representatives have stances where they will try and pass as many bills as possible. They don't really have stances on issues. They're not liberal, they're not conservative or Democratic or Republican. Is this representative of real state government?
I really can't say that is. Honestly, obviously our government is partisan, and that doesn't necessarily follow through to the youth in government program.
That was Colin Clark. He's pretty important, pretty credible. All right. So if Clark agrees with me, maybe youth in government isn't what it's supposed to be. In real state government, politicians take stances on issues: abortion, civil rights, education. All of these play a major part in state government. But here, they're barely apparent in the campaigning. Well, now that I think about it, former youth in government participants and current ones seem to have opposing views. Former youth in government participant and current chief of staff for John Shimos, Rodney Davis, also thinks that the current youth in government program is pretty darn close to state government.
Do you think youth in government is an accurate representation of real state issues?
I really do, because you're talking about many issues that actually have become law that begun as ideas in youth in government. So I mean, that's a testament to the program. It's a testament to the leadership of the people that were here in the past, and it's a testament to leadership that's going to continue to grow in the future.
So why the difference between the old and the new? Well, I think Davis summed it up. He describes how the process of passing bills was the same and how the bills are the same. That doesn't mean the program is anywhere near actual state government. Yes, students here go through the same process to get their bill passed. Yes, there are similar bills to state government, but do the candidates go through the same process to get elected? Does the governor go through the same thinking process to choose his first bill? No. I don't know if you all remember last year when the first bill was a bike helmet law. That's not real government. So where did this disparity come from? It came from the voters. In real government, regular working people vote candidates into office. Here, delegates vote candidates into office. Regular people want candidates who will pass laws that will benefit them and follow their beliefs. Delegates want candidates who will pass their bills. And there it is, folks. Candidates need to exclude issues from their campaign and base their platforms on passing as many bills as possible, because that's what the voters want. So, in reality, here's politics at its best. Youth and government candidates do exactly what they need to get elected. Please the voters. The problem is, the voters are other politicians. The flaw is inherent in the system. Can we fix the flaw? I don't know, but this is just for your reference.
Lobbyist is one of the few positions open to sophomores. Some feel that it is a great introduction to the Youth and Government program. Others, however, feel that it is a waste of their time. When asked the question of whether or not lobbyists are an important part of the Youth and Government program, Julie of Westmont High School explained her support of the lobbyist program.
I would say that being a lobbyist is very important. We're sort of like the bane of the bills. The committee that I'm with, they count on me to be able to research all the information while they're in the legislation, and so that I can get them the facts and figures that they're looking for so that they can present it to the House, the Senate, or the committee.
Ross of Stagg High School agreed and emphasized the importance of lobbyists in determining bill priority.
It's a very important part. You can control whether your bill gets first priority or sixth priority. Fortunately, mine got sixth.
It seemed that the main concern of all the lobbyists was promoting their bill. However, lobbyists are also allowed to propose a special bill without a bill group. Here are Alex and Lindsay explaining their unique bill.
So, how did you get an opportunity to write this bill?
This was a very spur-of-the-moment thing. Last night we decided that it would be interesting to get a chance to act as legislators and write a bill, and we wrote it, and now we're here trying to pass it.
Okay, and so what is your bill about?
Our bill makes it illegal for people with blonde hair to dye their hair any shade darker, to prevent them from making fools of themselves. And some of the punishments are a $259 fine and being shaved, having their heads shaved in public, and then lynched.
If their bill gets passed, there will be a lot of angry blondes out there.
In response to what she saw as lack of efficiency in the training process, Tracy Gillick, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, decided to reform the way pre-legs are run for attorneys. During her campaign, she referred to the sometimes grueling training process and what she perceives as an inefficient method of forcing both experienced and new attorneys to participate in the same sessions. She proposed dividing the attorney training process into two sections, one for veteran lawyers and a second for new recruits. We talked with some returning attorneys about the proposed new system.
How do you feel about Tracy Gillick's new judicial reform?
I feel it's very efficient, and I think it'll benefit both new and experienced attorneys in this program.
As a new attorney, did you feel like you didn't have as much training as the attorneys that were experienced?
Definitely. I felt very overwhelmed, and during Pre-Leg 1, I definitely felt kind of secluded from the more experienced members.
Some attorneys remember rough training processes and hope that Gillick's changes could improve the process for all.
Are you trained to be a lawyer?
Basically, I just joined the program. We did the pre-leges. I was partnered up with a more experienced attorney, so she kind of showed me the ropes a little bit, and then just kind of caught on as I went.
There seems to be excitement and support for these changes. Unfortunately, it isn't clear whether or not they will come to pass. Capitol News Update was unable to ask Chief Justice Gillick about her plans for reform, since she was repeatedly a no-show for interview appointments she made with Capitol News Update. And now, a special report with Capitol News Update reporter Katie Flannery.